Well, most people have the first thing is the fear of the predator guard itself. It's not going to hurt your grandkids. It's not going to hurt your dog. Yes, it will. It will hurt them. It will not harm them. Electric fences are very safe. They're very high voltage, which scares people, but they're very, very extremely low amperage. Amperage is what gets you hurt, not voltage. Um, so they work really well as long as the system is grounded properly. Um, there are people who have their pole as the ground rod. Oh, thanks, Joel.
Hey, we have a question. If you wanna, Bill wants us to ask how many people in this call currently are using electric predator guards? Raise hands. Yeah, wave.
I
I
trying to
see
figure
one, two, three, four, five. No one else? Jason Beams, don't you use it? I think Jason is going to say yes. Okay, so five here.
I see some hand raised.
Yep.
I don't see how they raised them because I still don't see that. Joel
It's down there
Grady's.
under the react at the bottom.
Oh,
Okay,
there
cool.
we go.
So about five people? Cool. Okay. All right.
how
Karen
many
Daughtery.
people?
Sorry,
How
go
many
ahead.
people? How many people that have an electric guard have had a breach of that guard by a snake?
Everybody, make sure you put your hand down if you, unless you've had a breach. Okay.
Well, I had a breach one time, but it was because my electric fence was off, and that's when I got the tattletale light and started using it.
Okay.
I know it was a snake because it left about a foot of skin in three different gourds, shed skin. So
Okay, we have a question from Karen Doherty. Karen says, we have a DIY guard, and thanks to Courtney, I added hardware cloth over the concrete pad at the bottom of the poles. Would we be better served to reinforce that and put dirt over it to improve grounding? We know it's working via testing and seeing both a snake and a raccoon get zapped on camera. Courtney would like to answer this question.
No, that was a mistake. Oh, that's for Brad to
Oh.
answer.
Okay.
well,
All
let
right.
me. Where did the question go? I need to read it again.
It went under answered. I accidentally clicked it under there.
Oh, all right. The
Okay.
answer to your question, if I remember the question correctly, was whether or not to leave the exposed metal on the ground or cover it with dirt. The exposed metal is a much better conductor of electricity than soil is. Soil is very dependent upon moisture content. The metal is not. So I think you have the best possible solution right now with the aluminum flashing hardware cloth, whatever you got, as long as you're not going to snag it with your lawnmower, I think you've got the best setup you could get.
Okay. You want to open a 2-minute session, Courtney?
Yep. Do you have any follow-up questions, Karen? If so, you can unmute and ask if you do.
If we could get everybody to turn their TV off or the radio off or the
I'm sorry,
vacuum
y'all. I'm
cleaners.
eating.
Go ahead.
Good, Karen.
I'm trying to eat and type at the same time. No, that was helpful because Courtney, as you know, I have a big concrete pad, and so I was trying to make sure that we're getting good ground. So
We are.
How do you have that? How do you have what do you have on top of the concrete?
hardware cloth.
Hardware
Down in the
cloth. So
ground on the
you
side.
have that hardware cloth grounded to the soil with what?
It is just we have about maybe 2 inches running into the ground on each side of the concrete pad.
Okay. It would be Okay, that might make a ground as long as the soil moisture is okay.
Right. That's what brought
If,
the question up for us.
okay, if you will take a wire from that wear cloth and run it back to the ground terminal on your charger, then you have a 100% perfect continuity ground.
Okay.
You're no
Yeah,
longer
we can do
relying
that.
on you're no longer relying on the soil to conduct electricity.
Okay. Yeah, I think we've been lucky because like the overflow on our pool, the waste on our pool kind of greens up the grass between us
Right.
and the poles. But
Right.
that's not something I want to count on.
Yeah, it soil moisture is a tricky thing. We've been dry enough here. I mean, I've been around electric fences since I was 8 years old, so that's been at least 15 years of experience. Kathy never even blinked. So I've been around electric fences for 46 years, and
That's right.
2 or 3 times in my life, I've seen our soil dry enough where it did not conduct electricity. And the only way to
The ground,
counteract
the ground
that,
pole.
well, that helps too, but that electricity also has to travel from where the shock occurs back to that ground rod. Uh, Wetting the soil around the ground rod does help, but if you're half a mile from, and we're not going to be on an electric predator guard, but you're half a mile from your ground rod and you touch the fence, and there's not enough moisture in the soil to conduct electricity that far. But yes, pouring water around the ground rod does help,
Okay.
but
Time's up.
I would not rely on that.
Okay. Thank you.
You can't
Yep.
tell me time's
Thank
up.
you for your question, Karen.
Actually,
Mhm.
she is too.
Okay. Next question. Brad, you ready?
Ready?
Joel Gray asks, Brad, can you explain the difference between volts and joules, please?
Well,
Well,
they're spelled differently. First, that's about as close as I can get. No, volts are a measure of an electrical measure. Joules is an odd one because that is actually a measure of heat. And why electric fence charger manufacturers rated it in joules, I'm not completely certain, but I can tell you this: the lower your joule output, the weaker your fence. That doesn't mean it's less voltage. That means it has a lower ability to conduct electricity through grass that has dew on it. You can get you can have electricity robbed away from your guard by dew, by condensation on the between the wire and the plastic insulator around your pole. Uh, when that dust that naturally settles there gets wet, if you have a low joule charger, then you've lost a lot of your shocking ability. So I know I can actually tell you the difference between the definition of the two things. Um, I do know that some of the little homeowners chargers, like for pet chargers and stuff, they're like point three joules. And the AC unit that we've got down in the barn is 10 joules. And a tree limb can fall on ours and it still shock a cow or a snake. But if you get a stem of grass over against a very low joule output charger, you're in a mess. So um, I hope that was sufficient because that's about all I know to tell you on that one. The big key is to find chargers that say low impedance. Now, even some of the lower joule chargers say low impedance, but just buy the charger with the most joule output you can that's in your price range. That's all I can recommend.
okay. Courtney, 2 minute follow-up.
Yeah, Joel, do you have any further questions or did that answer your question?
No, that was very good. And Brad and I have done quite a bit of one-off discussions anyway on my system. So I was pretty pleased with it. I just know some of the chargers are rated at way higher joules, but maybe lesser voltage. But I just know when I do my tester, it'll deliver 8,000 volts, and that's a lot. I mean, it'll rip you. So
Wow.
It is a lot, but what I saw a message pop up. What's the joule output on your charger, Joel?
I put it in the chat, Brad. Yeah, it produces 8,000 volts, but it's only rated at zero point 0.5
Right, right.
joules.
So that's a that's on the low end. I mean, and I can't say that's not enough. I did contact some manufacturers. Nobody has a clue what it takes to shock a snake. That was a very odd question that they got
So
asked.
another question, I wonder too if it depends on how far your runs are. Like my run, I know you have a huge fence on your farm that's charged. Mine is just charging four independent Purple Martin
Yes,
poles that are
yes, it
probably
does.
50 feet. Well, no, 75 feet.
It
In
is a function of strength. There's no doubt, or distance. But there has to be a certain point where a charger is just too weak to effectively shock through the scales of a snake. So we don't know what that number is. And I've seen more people post in the last year or two that they've had guards breached
That's where I was
where
going to go with that.
the electric fence is working. But the only explanation I would have for that would be tall grass touching the tall, wet morning grass touching the electric wire, robbing electricity off. So one day we may know what the absolute minimum joule output is for a charger to effectively do this, but we don't at this point. I would I would always err on the side of caution and try to get one that was one or higher. If you go with a solar unit, you're already getting a lower
That's
amount.
where I was fixing to say. I've seen
Yeah,
the breaches, I think, mainly from the solar panel ones, right, Brad? I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
All right. Well, that's our 2 minutes. Thank you for your question, Joel. Going to move on to the next question.
Okay, next question up is from Anthony Grelly. Anthony started, I think, is the one who started a lively discussion on our group here a few days ago. All right. Anyway, Anthony asks, what solar unit can you recommend for number one, a single Troyer unit, or number two, multiple units in line?
Well, that recommendation is not going to change based on those two factors. Uh, by the, you know, if you can swing spending $300, buy a $300 solar charger. If you can't buy, my fear here is if I start recommending a charger, I can tell you mine works because I've tested them for 30 years. But if you put too small a charger in, I don't know. I don't know where the basement is. There is a basement. I do know that, but we don't know what it is. So I would say if you're going to look for a solar unit, try to get one that is in excess of 1 joule. Um, and that's going to be on there very plainly marked. My solar backup unit is 1.8 or 2 joules. It's a 6 volt, has a 6 volt battery, and it it
Can I
works
say
better.
something about the?
Who is that?
I don't know. I heard somebody and they went away. I
Sorry.
think it's Jeffrey Hitchens, but it's
Yeah, I have a point zero two joule solar, and I did find one snake on the ground sleeping in the daytime. So it apparently shocked him for a long time, but he did not get up the pole.
a zero a 0.02 joule output charger.
Correct. It's a
That's
2 mile.
okay. And again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that charger is not big enough. I can't do that. I don't know the answer to the question. Would I recommend? I mean, people ask me questions and expect me to give them the right answer, not
Well, yeah,
speculate. So
you can if you don't test it with the snake every day. So
right. That is a really small charger. I'm glad to know that it did that. That's a really small charger, more like a pet rated charger, probably.
right, and I may go to a bigger one, but the one I put on my neighbor's was that one, and the snake was passed out on the ground. I'm like, wow, okay, good job.
Yeah.
It did not get up the pole.
When you have a charger with that small of a joule output, it does put more stress on your management of the electric predator guard system. You can't have grass that touches the wire. You can't have dirty insulators that when it rains, you hear it pop into the insulator.
Oh yeah, correct. And I also
Now,
have a 6-foot ground rod attached to the hardware of each pole.
yeah, that helps. You're trying to maximize what you got. But
Yeah,
I don't want anybody.
my son
Yeah,
will tell you that.
yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, and I'm an overkill guy too. But I don't. My fear is somebody buying a 0.02 joule charger and managing it like I manage mine. That's 10 joules. You could throw mud balls against my predator guards, and it's still gonna hurt when you touch it. It'll shock through a tree limb, so it'll shock through.
Yeah, I got three guards connected to that.
Yeah, you just got the smaller charger you use, the more intensely you're going to have to manage your setup. There's less room for error, I suppose is a good way to say that. Now, I don't intentionally mismanage mine, but I don't go out there with a pressure washer 3 times a year and clean my guards either. They get when I walk outside at night, if there's a heavy dew on the ground, I hear something popping every night, but I can go test it while it's popping, and I'm still getting 12,800 volts.
Oh yeah.
All right. Thank you, Jeffrey, for the feedback. We need to get back to Tony Grelly's question and make sure he has a chance for his 2 minutes if he had a follow-up question. So, Jeffrey, if you have a further question, please feel free to type it in the Q&A for us. Thank you.
All right. So Tony's question, I don't know if we've answered it yet. What solar unit can you recommend for a single Troyer unit or a multiple units in line?
Yeah, I spoke about that.
Okay.
My recommendation wouldn't change regardless of if you had 1 pole or 5 poles. I mean, you're not maximizing the distance. I mean, chargers are rated to charge in miles, not, and that includes every single piece of wire. So I've got 15 feet of wire on 1 predator guard. That's 15 feet that's added to each strand of wire counts. I guess the easiest way for me to say this is if I have 1 mile of electric fence on the farm, but I have 2 strands of wire, that's 2 miles of electric fence. It's not total distance, it's total wire use. So, just get, I'm of the buy once, cry once philosophy. Buy a good charger. If you add units going down the road, you're not replacing an undersized charger. Anyway.
Okay.
Tony, did we get that covered, or you need some more discussion on it, or what?
Nope, everything's good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
Bill typed in a question. Do all predator guards have the tattletale feature? No charger has the tattletale. Well, chargers usually have indicator lights. If you can see your indicator light from your kitchen window, you could say your charger's on, but the tattletale lights that I speak of are independent and hanging on the guards, not the charger. I think Courtney uses those as well.
Okay, Bill, did you have any other questions about that?
No, I'm good. I was just throwing that out there to um, make sure that people realize that that tattletale is beneficial if you can't see your charger.
Oh, it's absolutely beneficial. It's kind of like what was the old commercial, American Express card, never leave home without it. And batteries do die in those tattletale lights. So 2 or 3 times a season, I take mine off. You can take it off the fence without unplugging the fence. Just take it off and hold it in your hand. Make sure it's got a time delay. Make sure 30 seconds later it's blinking. Plug it back on the fence. I had one of those die one time. That's why I always have two. I like redundancy. So
Okay. Thanks. All right. I do see a question that Joel put in the chat. He says, again, does a smaller run not have an impact? I don't know if that's been addressed, Joel. Did we already address that, or do you still have that question?
I think we talked about it, but Brad, I don't know if it registered with you. If you're not charging a huge fence and a long run, I mean, I have a 15-mile charger. I've got a 75-yard, I guess, run.
yeah, sure. I mean, you don't need a 200-mile fence charger. I mean, that's what we have. You don't need that. I just don't know where, and I'll say this again, I don't know where the basement is for charger intensity. Obviously, we just heard that 0.02 joules will knock a snake out. Truthfully, I mean, that kind of surprised me. I really would not have expected that.
So, Brad, could it have been because the snake, for example, touched its nose versus its tongue versus it bit the thing, or because on the scales that does seem like a very low charge, right?
Yes. I I don't know. Um,
Right. We none of
I
us.
think I really, the way I look at it, and Jeffrey, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I hope you don't take it this way, but I think it had to be best case scenario for that to occur. Um, you know, that's a small charger, obviously. I'm I'm the guy that I don't neglect mine. I don't want anybody to think that, but you know, drive by it with a lawnmower, blow dirt up on it or dust up on it, and all that kind of stuff. I don't think a charger that size would work for me because I'm not keeping my stuff incredibly clean. It's just the grime of life, I guess. It gets washed off a lot in the wintertime, but uh, it there's no there's no and this frustrates me because I like to be able to deal with absolutes, but there's no known level to accomplish this effectively. I just want to know when it's raining, mine works. When the dew's on the ground, it works. When a tree limb falls on the fence between my house and the barn, it still works. It's just, you know, it's like killing flies with a shotgun. Well, that's the easiest way to do it. I mean, you can kill them with a fly swat, but you know, you can also kill them with a sledgehammer. I guess I like the sledgehammer, but um, a lot of this is based off of theory and speculation. You know, we do have Jason Beams was fortunate enough to catch a snake and hold it up there and let it get shot. And we've seen videos, some cropping up over the last couple of years, of a rattlesnake crawling into a chicken pen that hit an electric fence and it turned it for a flip, and then I mean, I've seen 3 or 4 different videos of snakes getting shot by electric fences over the last couple of years, and that they do a really good job. They do an incredibly good job. Um, but again, I don't. It's all speculation at this point. I don't know. That's why I have people. I have 50 people a year ask me what size, what's the smallest charger I can buy. I don't know. You don't need a 10 joule charger. That's what Joel and I were just talking about. You don't need a 10 joule charger, but and they rate things in miles. That's just common, but miles and joules go hand in hand. The higher joule output, the longer your distance rating. But just get the most powerful one you can afford. That's all I just tell people. That's just my default. Um, I have seen some chargers that run with D cell batteries. I wouldn't trust one of those any further than I could throw it. Now they may work. I don't know, but I'm not going to try it. So.
Kathy, you're muted.
Yeah, Kathy, I can't hear you.
There you go.
Read my lips, Brad.
I like, she's having a seizure.
Okay. Karen Daugherty has a question, follow up. Our 3 poles are in line 1, 2, 3 on a Cyclops Brute. So should we be running a line back to the ground from each or from the last in the line? So I assume you mean from each pole or
He
from the
means
last.
from each pole, yeah. Well,
Or
you've got one heck of a fence charger. I can tell you that. Cyclops Brood is a beast. You can check. You can answer your own question. Check if you have a digital voltmeter. I think in one of the 3 videos that we did, I showed you how to check continuity of ground. Uh, if you've got the same voltage sticking the ground end of that tester into the soil as you do when you touch your positive and negative terminal on the charger, then that's as good as you're going to get. Now, having extra ground rods is always a great idea because of soil moisture and things like that. You won't gain more by doing one than you would by doing all 3 because they're all 3 independent. So, if you want to, it depends on how your pole's installed too. If you got your pole sitting on a brick before you pour concrete around the the base there, it may not conduct electricity as well. My poles are just touching bare dirt at the bottom, so I have really good continuity on my ground. But that's something that has to be tested to know for certain.
Karen, did you want to ask Courtney? Sorry.
Yep. Karen, did that answer your question, or do you have follow-up questions?
No, it did, because we get the same test on, like, every poll is reading basically the same.
That's good.
I've still got somebody trying to get in that hadn't been able to get in yet. Let me see if I can find.
Is somebody trying to get in that can't, you said?
Yeah, I don't. It says I'm on the page. I don't see a link, so I just copied and pasted the post form.
Okay. All right. Joel posted something in the chat again. Are you ready, Brad?
I am.
As much as we are all suggesting how great electric predator guards are, it really would be nice to find out how many volts need to be delivered to be effective, because way more people are being convinced to go to them, and it sucks if they aren't being successful. Well, I have a comment about that, Joel. Maybe you could go capture a raccoon and a snake and throw them against the fence and let us know. Sorry. Go ahead, Brad.
That's a great idea.
Yeah,
Joe, make sure you video that.
yeah,
Uh,
that would be fun.
so a raccoon is easier to shock than a snake is.
Yep.
Even though a snake, you're like, well, it's against the ground. It is, but it's got keratinized scales that insulate it from the ground. Yeah, and I know it would be great to know, but you're never going to be able to recommend something. Let's just say if the floor is, and I'm just throwing out whole numbers to make it simple. Let's just say we know this is not right because we know people are successful with smaller chargers, but let's just say that zero point 0.5 joules is the absolute minimum that you got to have to shock a snake. We already, like I said, we already know that's not true, but that's still in perfect conditions. So, if one of these predator guard breaches happened on a rainy night, I think it might have been Jeff Pinkston's. Not sure. Somebody's did. I remember that specifically. When it's raining and everything's wet, if you got grass touching that fence, or if you got a small nick, so that's another thing. If you got a small nick and you're buried underground wire, any kind of moisture is going to amplify the problem. It doesn't take away from it because it's wet. You would think, well, it's wet, everything's going to shock better. No, that's not the case with an electric fence. If everything's great with the fence, then yes, it is true. When everything's wet, it shocks better. But wetness can also hurt things. So,
Well, can I add why I suggested that question, Kathy and Brad and guys, is because we all know, I mean, electric predator guard has been a game changer for me. I mean, I was so tired of all the netting and all of the baffles and man, taking dead snakes out that I didn't want to good dead snakes, rat snakes, right? I don't want to kill them. But
Right.
that netting was just a nightmare. So this has been a game changer for me. It's so easy. It was a little bit of work up front, and Brad helped me through a lot of it. But man, it's a game changer. So I feel like it's something that we need to evolve, right, and educate. But and I know more and more people are going to start doing this, right? We got 17 on here today. I bet you do this next year, guys. It'll double as it gets so much more popular. I'm just wondering, if we knew, because we don't want people to try to take a cheap way and buy, something cheap and it not work. So anyway,
right.
that's my thought on it.
No, you're right, Joel, because, and I get your point. I was just funning with you about throwing a raccoon and a snake because nobody really knows because,
Right.
like Brad mentioned, all the factors have to come together right sometimes. What if there's a nick, or what if there's a blade of grass, or so what if somebody's piled some soil against it, or what if their dad unplugged the fence, right, Brad? But
Yeah.
But here's the other reason I think your question is valid. We want to be able to show people that these things work because the cylinder guards don't always work. And if somebody says, "Oh, the cylinder guard never worked," nobody else will use the cylinder guard either. And if nobody,
Netting doesn't either. So
no, you got to
unless
set
you
it
got a
up
ton
right.
of it.
You got to set it up right. You got to set up the cylinder guard right. How many times have we seen people say, "Oh, the cylinder guard doesn't work." And we say, "Show it to us how you have it set up." And they have it sitting down on the winch handle, they have it way too low to the ground, or they have a step stool next to the guard. I mean, there's all kinds of factors there that could have caused the problem with the cylinder guard as well. Just like there are factors that could cause the electric guard to fail as well. So, your point is valid. I understand what you're saying. Is there something we could say like, here's the minimum joules or volts, whatever, that you need to have for your, but the problem is you get into all these varieties of, how long is it going to be? Are they using electric? Are they using solar? Where are they mounting it? Is it on a fence? Are they running how many poles? There's so many things there that would have to be answered. But yeah, I think you're right. I have seen a lot more people asking about electric predator guards, and maybe we should use those. And we're happy to see it because there's so many people killing snakes, and it just makes us sick every year to see the posts where people are holding up their dead snakes and saying, "Hey, look what I did." And it's like, dude, don't be proud of that. because because we need the snakes. But anyway, um, you're right. Unfortunately, I don't know if how we would ever define that. Brad, do you?
No, I don't. Um, I just really don't. I mean, I've thought through, Kathy, and Courtney and Bill know how much I overthink things, but I have thought you could cage a snake and put food on top of a pole. I mean, you could test this, but in reality, who wants to spend $5,000 buying 200 different chargers? And if I become Elon Musk wealthy tomorrow, which I don't think is going to happen, but I'll just hire some people to figure this out. But it. I don't even know if an electrical engineer can figure this out. I really don't. I'm not taking anything away from electrical engineers; they know a lot more than I do. But there's not a lot of math involved with this. There's a whole lot of variables. These things are outside. They're prone to dirt, dust, grass clippings.
I'll share something real quick, Brad. While you were talking, Bill, thank you. You shared this, the Energizer requirements, joules versus volts, as well as the requirements for small pets and poultry, horses and cattle, sheep, goats, and wildlife. I don't know if this would help anybody or not, but Brad, I thought that was good information.
That is good information. Interestingly, sheep are some of the harder things to shock because of their wool. A snake belly is similar to the scales on a chicken's foot. So that might be a fair comparison. So 1,000 to 2,000 volts, half to 1 joule. But then you got a half joule. Joel Gray's already said he's got a half joule charger. Well, it's not 1 to 2,000 volts. It's 8,000 volts.
Right.
And that's like the one that says sheep, goats, and wildlife 6 to 8,000 volts, 5 to 8 joules. Well, my charger puts out 12,800 volts, and it's a 10 joule. But if you just use linear math, 2 more joules wouldn't get you to 12,800 volts.
No.
But the AC chargers are always more powerful for the same money than a solar charger is. I know solar chargers are, for the most people, are the easiest source to do this with. But if you want to save money and can run an AC charger from your garage, trench you a trench, put your conduit in, bury always use conduit for that direct bury wire, because it's going to short. It's going to get a nick in it if you don't. I see that all the time. I don't have any conduit on my own racks up here at the house because the wire's only running underground 10 feet. Well, when I hear it popping, I just jerk it out of the ground, put another one in. At the barn where I'm running stuff 100 feet, it's all in conduit. But and those are the recommendations that Bill found, and that's great. But you also got to look at the what if. What if you blew grass clippings up against your garden when you mowed and you didn't know it? Or I'm completely an overkill kind of guy. So yeah, it'd be great to know. But
Okay, Jeff Pinkson posted something in the comments. That's a probably good thing to keep in mind if you have a solar charger. It said, I've had two breaches. One was because I forgot to turn it on after a nest check, and the other was after several days of cloudy, rainy days, which may have drained the battery.
where are you seeing that?
It's
In the
in the
chat?
chat. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yes, I remember that, Jeff. Yeah, the weather we've had, and Jeff doesn't live that far from me. I mean, he's 30 miles south, but we had a lot of cloudy, rainy weather in May and June. Well, the end of May and June. So, we had several days in a row where uh, there wasn't enough sunlight to charge batteries. So that's something you got to keep in mind. Uh, Tattletale lights, at least the ones that I do, have two voltage settings on them, a lower one and a higher one. And I keep mine set on the highest voltage setting. So if the voltage drops, mine doesn't have to be completely off for my tattletale light to go off. And Courtney's nodding yes. I assume that means she does the same thing. Because if my voltage drops too much, my tattletale starts going off. So, I've never really verbalized that in a post or anything else, but if you got a setting on your tattletale, run it on the highest setting, because you don't just want to know when it's off. You want to know when it's compromised. So that's a good thing to do. Jeff, I used to not unplug my fence because of the forgetting to plug it back up. And then I got into it one day when I was on my hands and knees before I converted to worm gear winches. And I think I almost dislocated my shoulder. So I, I went with the unplug it and set a reminder on my phone trick that I do now. So. But Joel, you're right. I mean, 5 years ago, how many posts did you see a year about an electric predator guard? None, unless I made one. Or Malcolm Stevens has had these things for years too. But it's just becoming the most. I'm not gonna say it's the most common. It's not, but I could see where it could become the most common because more and more people have seen how effective they are. They've seen, you know, if your guard's too low, you get a snake breach. If your net's not fluffed out right, you get a snake breach. Well, if your electric fence is not on, you get a snake breach too. As long as you got a tattletale light, you usually get that back going pretty quick because it's usually some harebrained something like I've done before and left it unplugged and then noticed at 8 o'clock it was blinking and then have to go plug it up. And I started the meeting by telling you that I have had one breach because my fence was off. And I think the important thing to know about that, I think there was something to learn there too, because yes, my fence was off and I didn't know it, but it was only off for a 24-hour period. That much I could verify because my dad turned it off and forgot to turn it back on. So I lost 3 nests of eggs in the course of 24-hour period. That was one trip up the pole for the snake. I do know it was a snake. In case there are people here that weren't here when I said it earlier, I do know for sure that it was a snake because there was about a foot-long section of snakeskin in each gourd. Each of the 3 gourds had snakeskin in it. Here's the great thing about that. I didn't want to test it. I didn't like that part of the test. But the reality is the snake never went back up the pole. So my guard stopped the snake because snakes go back. They go back till there's nothing left to get, just like any other predator does. But I know mine stopped snake. Now, interestingly enough, with Jeffrey Hitchens, his charger was 0.02 joules, and he found a unconscious snake outside the pole. I've never seen a snake around mine. You would think that a charger as powerful as I use would kill a snake, but maybe they can sense it before they even touch it. I mean, I don't know how that works, but I've never seen one get shot. It's never been breached when it was on, yet I've never seen one get knocked out. I will share something that happened this summer with a tree swallow. I think I shared it with the admin group, and it's not the highlight of my career. There's chimney swifts overhead. Squirrel had to look at the chimney swifts. But I had a fledgling tree swallow land on our pasture fence, and it grabbed the pole because it couldn't land really well. And it was flapping its wings, and it touched the fence. And there was an audible pop. I was about 20 feet away, and I heard an audible pop, and I thought, well, that little tree swallow nestling or fledgling just got killed, but it didn't. It fell to the ground, but by the time it got to the ground, it was fluttering, and then it flew off. So if something as tiny as a tree swallow nestling is not permanently harmed or killed by a almost 13,000 volt shock, then that made me feel better, I guess. I mean, I hated it for the little tree swallow that he unknowingly was some scientific research for me there, but it didn't kill the tree swallow. That's the great thing. I also saw a mockingbird one time get popped, and it knocked it backwards a few steps, but it flew off as well. I've never found anything dead around my predator guard. I guess that's the take home point. So I'm not saying it's not possible, because something could get hung in it, and, but never had a raccoon up my pole, never had a cat up my pole, never had anything up the pole other than one snake one night. That's it. 20, I put it in after the first season. So 23 years. That's a pretty good record, guys, because this Alabama 5 and 6 foot rat snakes are very, very common. Raccoons are incredibly common. And, I think the evidence speaks for itself there. And I don't think I'm trying to sell anybody that's on this chat into using a predator guard. I just hope we get, if anybody has any question, I don't care if you think it's a silly question, please ask. The only question that's silly is one that's not asked. So,
Okay. So, do we have any more? Joel commented, I've never seen a snake or evidence of a snake since adding my electric guard. That's positive. Very positive. Okay. So, again, if anyone has any questions, please let us know. There's a new one in the chat. Oh, Karen has one more. I think I heard Brad say he had a solar backup. How does that work? We lost power for 6 hours a week or two ago, and I spent the time watching.
So I don't think there's any way you could see it. I would turn my camera. I have a solar charger mounted on a fence post over there. And I have knife switches installed. So when the AC charger's on, the knife switch to the solar charger is thrown, and the solar charger is turned off. Well, the battery just sits there and stays fully charged all the time. So if we have a power outage, or when we have a power outage, I simply go out, flip the knife switch that provides the electricity from the AC charger off to disconnect it, because I don't want it back feeding to the other charger. Close the knife switch on the solar charger, turn it on. I'm back up and running in a minute. It's not hard to accomplish. Those knife switches are really cheap, and if you're rough with them or try to tighten them too much, they break. Found that one out. The I think I took about 3 tries to get one installed because I kept breaking them. But I'm also not the most gentle person in the world either. So, but it's not hard. I mean, I can draw a diagram if anybody's interested. It will be a very crude diagram on a piece of copy paper, but it's not hard. You just have to use some knife switches to isolate one because, as I said, you don't want to backfeed into a charger. That's not good for the charger. So,
Yeah, no, we would love that, Brad. If you want to just
okay.
if you want to draw like a back of the cocktail napkin, that would be helpful to us because after having sitting and have like watching like full racks for 6 hours, I'm like, I do not want to do that again.
Well, I don't have any cocktail napkins. I got a feed sack. I can draw it on the back of
That'll
the
work.
feed sack, but it's a very simple concept. Once you see it, I'm a visual learner, so once you see it, it's no problem to replicate. I will caution you though; those knife switches are very, very brittle. You can over tighten the nut that controls the knife switch arm. Uh, you can't over tighten the screws that hold the base of the knife switch to a post. You really have to baby those things. So, good question. So, y'all want to just open it up for comments, questions? Everybody unmute their
Oh, I think we
thing.
had a couple new people that just joined. Didn't
Okay.
know if they might want to ask you something first. So there's
Brian Edmonds is one of them that just joined. I saw his name. He doesn't have to ask questions about electric fence. He's farm boy too. He knows all about them. So,
and then Kathy probably sees the one in the chat.
I do. So Cheryl Lynn Bailey asked, the tattletale light, is it a part of the charger? Brad, the answer is no, Cheryl, but Brad, where can she get a tattletale light?
well, obviously on Amazon, everything comes from Amazon, but you could likely go to Tractor Supply, Rural King, any farm feed store. They're going to have them on the shelf, and that way you don't have to wait for the delivery on the other one. And you can buy some really junky stuff on Amazon. I bought a digital tester. wasn't worth having. Sent it back. I try not to buy electric fence stuff on Amazon just because there are so many cheap knockoff things out there.
No, the farm stores are really good. Are they actually called a tattletale light?
Would you like for me to Google that? I really don't know the answer to that question.
Oh, dude, I got you.
Uh,
Excellent.
Brad wouldn't make anything up, would he?
nope. I won't lie to you. I may embellish something, but I won't lie.
I know you won't lie to me. I think that's awesome.
I'm gonna embellish. That's just
I asked Brad a question and he didn't know the answer. The end of the world is nigh.
Well, if you notice, I'm back outside enjoying the nice cool evening. It's down to about 88 now. And yes, I'm swinging in my chair. I just noticed, Court. I'll try to stop.
So are you really looking up the answer?
Oh no, I thought you were. Sorry.
No, I ain't looking.
I know when you Google electric fence tattletale.
Brian Teller says electric fence indicator light. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian. There are multiple different versions of these things. I mean, a bunch of different versions. Yeah, electric fence light indicator alert. There's some that stay on all the time and go off if the fence goes off. If that's something that's going to catch your attention, go for it. I like things that are not present that become present because then I notice them. If it was on all the time, I wouldn't even look at it. I don't think. But
hey, Bill threw out a good question. Are there different grades of tattletale lights depending on the jewels?
no,
No? Okay.
No,
That was easy.
I've never seen. I've never seen one. I think mine on the, and maybe Courtney can remember, but I think mine on the high setting is 4,000 volts. 2,000 on the low setting, 4,000 on the high. So I don't think anybody's going to have a charger that's putting out less than 4,000 volts. But and if it was, you'd want to know about it.
Okay.
I don't remember the number you're talking about. I was looking for a picture of mine. I was just gonna to show.
Well, on the
Look like,
back, it actually says like 1 and 2. I think it does on mine,
yeah,
but I think
mine says 1 and 2
now
also.
this is years ago when you could only buy them at farm stores and feed stores, and they were actually like a name brand like Gallagher or Zeriba or Cyclops or something like that. I actually read the instructions one time. That one time I did. And I think mine at that time said that the highest setting was 4,000 volts. Now, that doesn't mean that's what they still are, but
Okay.
Maisie has entered the chat.
Yeah, Maisie was sleeping, so she came over for a pet. I don't see any other questions. We do have a couple of new people here.
So, did I answer Sherilyn's question? No, the tattletale light is not part of the charger. It's separate. Most, I can't say all chargers, but most chargers do have an operation light on them that blinks when the charger is on. It's also a very faint, small light. The tattletale light that I use, I have hanging on my guards, and they will get your attention from hundreds of feet away. It's a very bright LED red light that blinks on and off when the charger's off.
Sherilyn, did that answer your question? Stop that. You're on mute if you're talking, Sherilyn.
Feel free to unmute.
Hey, Travis, you made it. Okay, Sherilyn typed and said yes, it answered her question.
Perfect.
Okay, we have a couple of new people. If you have any questions, make sure you enter your questions in the chat and we'll read them off to Brad for you. I'm sorry, not in the chat, in the Q&A if you can, please.
Travis doesn't get to ask questions. He knows how this works.
I'm just joining for moral support and happy to see y'all.
Thank you, Travis.
Thanks, Travis.
No hazing allowed, Travis.
Travis, can I fix your name so you're not Mr. Samsung?
Yep, absolutely. Sorry, I didn't have time to answer
SM. We'll just start
we
calling
are
him.
still out here on typical duty.
Overwatch. All right.
Well, unfortunately, I don't have any Overwatch to watch. So my gourd racks are bare. Can you see them?
Oh man, that looks quiet.
It is quiet. It's very quiet. I have one pair down at the barn left to go. It's a second brood in a gourd. First brood was obviously SY. These are SYs.
Maisie wants to know what language you're speaking there, Brad. She's paying attention.
She has no idea what people from the South sound like.
No.
So
should we enable closed captions?
Oh, we should have done the closed captions because when he said mockingbird earlier, is that MAWK?
Oh, it would have been something.
Yeah.
I mean, if it made incubation turn into inky bacon, then there's no telling.
Right.
What it would be. I still have some birds in the mornings. There's always some phantom local roost that I've never been able to find.
Hey, there has been a big roost show up about an hour south of me. I haven't gotten to go there, but I messaged a couple of landlords up here to let them know. But it was a big roost ring that showed up here.
That's cool.
I was
I
surprised.
never have one close enough to the house to. Brian Edmonds, you still in here?
Yes, he's here.
You found out anything else about that one in Blount County? I haven't even looked to see if it's still there or not.
Brian, you're muted.
Uh-oh, I think he hung up. No,
No, he's
there he
still
is.
there. He's pushing buttons. You're still muted, Brian.
Here, I'll see if I can unmute you. Okay, yeah, you're unmuted now, Brian.
Yeah, I've asked several people around that live around there. I hadn't found it yet.
Okay. Your beard's bigger than the last time I saw you. That boy can grow a beard now, I'm going to tell you. I've known Brian and his family for quite a while.
Long time.
Long time. Great people.
Excellent.
All right. Does
With
anybody
big-
have any
with
other predator guard
big,
questions?
Big beards. I know somebody's got a question they just don't want to ask. It's a great time to ask it. And no, I will not go out and demonstrate how bad it hurts to get shocked by a fence. It's the I guess the take home point, guys, is it's all about the quality of the ground. That's true with 12-volt wiring on your utility trailer or electric fences. The ground quality has to be fantastic. Spend the extra time, spend the extra. It's not expensive, but spend a little extra, whatever you got to spend time wise to get your ground perfect. I always would recommend having a separate ground rod for the fence. I know some people have them run to their poles, and that's a great idea too. I just wouldn't use it as a standalone ground. But I saw somebody today posted a video of their electric setup and they were using a stovepipe guard as their electric predator guard, and that's a fantastic way to go from one to the other without having to spend extra money. They had the composite topped guard, I think, from Troyer. It's got the Trex board or whatever it's got, but that insulates that metal stovepipe from the pole. So you got a cylinder guard that's electrified. Nothing is going to go past that as long as it's electrified.
That was Jeffrey Hitchings, isn't he here?
He was here at the beginning.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was Jeffrey Hitchings that did that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that is an incredible setup. And I wish I had known that when he and I were talking about his fence charger, because that very well may be how he's getting by with a smaller charger. I mean, a 0.02 joule charger is little bitty. I mean, I don't mean any of this to sound judgmental or mean or anything else, but that is little bitty charger. That's a pet charger. But for it to do what it did, now knowing that he's the one that had the video of that awesome setup, that makes a lot of sense. My setup is very effective, but it's not. I couldn't put a 0.2 or 0.02 charger on my current setup. It would never shock because too dirty, too much grass clippings, too this, too that, to the other. So, but that is an awesome looking setup that he has. So,
we have a hand raised. Jeff Pinkston has a question, I guess. Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, I had a comment. When I originally hooked my fence charger up to mine, I did it to the Predator guard that's mounted that way. But I added Trex board, or I think I had some vinyl siding pieces to the bottom so that it wouldn't swing over and ground out against the pole.
Yeah, that would be very important in that setup. His had brackets that bolted it to the pole, so that eliminate his from being able to swing.
Well, even mine was the. I saw the video that you're talking about, and I have the same predator guard, and it can still swing, especially if it were a raccoon. A raccoon could push it over far enough to touch the bottom, and which would short it out, you know.
Yeah, that could
And
be
the and I have mine. I've put the electric predator guard at the bottom, and then I put a jumper wire from it and heat the predator the baffle guard up also. So if
right.
anything gets past that one, then. But the thing about it is got to remember to turn the charger on, and if it's going to be cloudy for several days, might need to come up with some way to add an extra battery to it, because it's just not sensible for me to run electricity because I'm 100 yards away from
Right.
anything, and it would be quite expensive to run conduit and wire 100 yards.
It would be. It definitely would be.
So, but that's all I got.
Okay.
Travis
Travis,
has his
yeah.
hand raised.
No,
Do
just
what?
a comment. Just a comment, and of course, I joined late. I apologize if it's been covered, but I used to work for an electric motor company, engineering and test labs. So with all the test lab stuff we did, I will say the ground is probably the most important, and it was proved this year in our group where they had a small ground rod and the ground was dry. So I will, just to put it out there, the ground rod, when we were doing electric motor testing, we did minimum 6 foot, probably 8 foot ground rods, just for the soil moisture and to make sure everything was consistent. Again, I apologize if it was covered earlier, but that moisture in the ground, certainly that was a key for us at least.
Yeah. And we did talk about that some, but I don't mind repeating it because it's very, very important. And I heard somebody in the background say, well, you can just pour water around your ground rods, and that does help a tremendous amount, but you've also got to have enough soil moisture from the pole to the ground rod to conduct the electricity too. So a separate ground wire running from the pole back to the charger is always a great idea.
Yep.
Always a great idea. It's hard to have enough ground. I mean, Travis, you're like me. You know, if your trailer lights quit working on your utility trailer, 99% of the time it's the ground. You know, it's almost always the ground in almost every electrical situation. So it's the weakest link by far. And the success or failure predator guard depends on how well it's grounded.
It's just kind of like insurance, you know, you just build it double time and make sure it's there so we can all sleep at night.
That's right. That's right.
Hey. Okay. Any other questions? Raise hands.
I ain't got a question, but Brad, what you was talking about, that running that extra ground wire over there to that pole,
Hey.
you know, if it is dry out there, and I did this to all them poles of my poles, if it is dry and it was to get on to the plastic that's got the fence wire on it and was able to do it without shocking it, once it makes it to its next climb to wrap around the pole, that's a second hit right there.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's going to get
Safety hit.
zapped at the top too.
Right.
I mean, mine will get shocked at the top as well, just because I have verified that I have continuity of ground through my pole back to the charger.
Right.
A lot of people haven't done that or might not do it or whatever, but I have the peace of mind of knowing that mine, whether mine gets shocked on the ground or at the top of the guard, it's getting shocked one way or the other. So a lot of peace of mind there.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I believe Jeff Pinkston had his hand up for a moment. Did you want to ask a question, Jeff?
Yeah, I was going to comment in there that during the down season, I'm going to look at adding some extra batteries to my solar setup, uh, whether it's 12 volt or 6 volt, whatever it is. I haven't looked, and have maybe 2 or 3 batteries in series to give me a little more storage capacity for the longer cloudy days.
Yeah, that's always a good idea. I don't know how you're going to pull that off with a package unit, but I'm sure you can. I'll be interested to see how you did that. But they still sell chargers, solar chargers that don't come with a battery. Those are some of the big boys. You have to put your own 12-volt deep cycle battery there, and it's hard to imagine a 12-volt battery shocking you like it can through that electric fence. But when you go through those step-up transformers, it will cross your eyes. So,
that's kind of like reading the story about the little taser and the guy testing it on himself.
yeah. All right. Has anybody else got any more questions? Anybody? Going once? Going twice? All right, guys. Thank y'all for coming. I hope this leads to more discussion. I hope it leads to more questions. I like questions because questions have answers, and I like understanding how things work. And if somebody's still not certain how an electric fence works, just first ask that you watch the 3 video series that we did, the short 10-minute videos. I think that will answer pretty much any installation question you might have. But if it doesn't, we're here. We are all here to help. That's why we tried to set ourselves apart, and our group's not for bashing and telling. Well, I mean, yeah, we tell jokes, but our focus is education, and we want to keep it that way. But hope you all enjoyed it, and thank you for coming. And everyone have a good night.
And thank you, Brad, for giving us your precious time this evening. We appreciate that.
Well, you're more than welcome.
Great job, everybody. Bye.
All right.
Thank y'all.
Good night, everybody.
See ya.